Ladies and gentlemen, chat, welcome back to the channel. And today, I think you could say some shots have been fired. What am I talking about? The latest and greatest from the ongoing saga of the Paramount Warner Brothers merger. David Ellison says he'll pull Paramount out of California starting October 1st if states refuse to negotiate settlement in the antitrust suit. I know. Shots have been fired. Now, this comes from Variety by Todd Spangler. And it says, David Ellison is eager to reach a swift resolution in the antitrust case filed by 12 states seeking to block the Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery merger. And in a move seemingly aimed at gaining leverage in the showdown, he's prepared to start moving Paramount out of California. Lol. As soon as October, unless the merger is resolved through a statement with the state's Attorney General, Rob Bonta. Rob Bonta, Variety has confirmed. Variety has confirmed. Ellison told Paramount senior execs last week that he will relocate Paramount's operations outside of the state of California if the deal doesn't close by September 30th. So that's, 45-ish days from now, month and a half. Sources confirmed by Variety. The final hurdle to close the Paramount WBD merger is the state's antitrust case. Therefore, if Bonta does not agree to negotiate a settlement in the case by then, the company will begin the process of exiting California starting October 1st. Ellison told his team the Paramount Skydance board has approved the move. Wow. So the board is on board. The board is okay with it. I'm wondering, is this... It's not, is it? It absolutely is a power play, right? He wants the deal done, and he's trying to use whatever leverage he can to make that happen. But how do you move an entire movie studio out of state? I mean, is this going to be a temporary thing? Like, hey, we're just going to move past state lines for a little while and, set up outside of Vegas somewhere in a warehouse and shoot a couple of things here and there? Or are they actually going to find someplace where they can build a new lot? Because I don't think there are many quote unquote movie lots in the United States other than California. I'm sure other states have some, but the majority are going to be in Tinseltown. Paramount declined to comment. Ellison's threat to relocate Paramount in retaliation for California's Bonta leading the charge to kill the WBD deal, a move that would include much of its studio operations over time. In response, Bonta called Ellison's planned exit from the state an attempt to blackmail the state into letting an illegal deal through. That sounds like something that an attorney general would say. Paramount has lost the plot as it continues to lose in court, the attorney general wrote on X, also known as Twitter. It didn't work the first time, and on the eve of our July lawsuit, it won't work this time. Sounds like they're pretty dug in. Bonta has not publicly said what concessions the Paramount WBD would consider acceptable enough to take the lawsuit off the table. But the Democratic Attorney General has said any remedies would need to be structural, i.e. divestments, rather than behavioral, meaning imposing certain production quotas. So it sounds like they'd want to break things up. The reason Ellison gave his senior leadership team for relocation out of California was that Paramount will need to cut costs once the ticking fee payable to Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders kicks in starting October 1st. On that date, Paramount will begin accruing fees owed to WBD shareholders of $7 million per day until the deal closes. The trial and the state's AG lawsuit is scheduled to start March 2nd, 2027, roughly 5 months after that, so Paramount would be on the hook to pay $1.2 billion to WBD shareholders by the time the trial is scheduled to conclude. That is crazy. That is a lot of money. I guess you can't really blame him for pulling all the levers at his disposal. I don't think they're They're maybe going to happen, but we'll see. At the August 5th meeting on Paramount's lot, Ellison told his 12-member senior executive team he expects Paramount to prevail in the antitrust case against the states. Blah, blah, blah. Stuff we've talked about before. Talks seem to be in limbo with the Attorney General. Paramount's LA headquarters would move out of the state first, with tax incentives from states allegedly helping to cover the cost of the relo. That's interesting. I'd like to know which states are helping with the cost of the relocation. Ellison also outlined a 5-year plan to shift most studio jobs out of California. And aside of how sudden this decision is, Paramount hasn't yet decided where its new home might be. The company is considering destinations including Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee. Paramount executives at the August 5th meeting included Paramount studio bosses Dana Goldberg and Josh Greenstein. Greenstein, sorry, Josh. And CBS and TV media chair George Cheeks, a company insider confirmed. Ellison's announcement of the October 1st start date for Paramount's potential move outside of SoCal, which would obviously be disruptive and logistically fraught, caught some executives off guard. I would think it would catch them off guard. A large-scale exit from California could prompt a wave of employees to quit, particularly as major layoffs loom if Paramount immediately consummates the Warner's merger. That's interesting to think about because a lot of those people have jobs on that set, and I'm sure they've got families, and I'm sure they've got kids in school, and maybe they don't want to uproot and move to Tennessee or Georgia, so maybe they just stick around and peace out, and then now you've got, tons of people to hire when you get to these new locations, whether it be, what do we say, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas? I mean, those are not short moves from California. Ellison and much of the senior team work out of the Paramount Pictures studio lot located at 5555 Melrose Avenue in Hollywood. However, in SEC filings, Paramount Skydance continues to list 1515 Broadway in New York, where the former Paramount Global had its HQ, as the address of principal executive offices. So they got 1 foot in New York, 1 foot in California. The notion that Ellison would exit California if the state AG sued to block the Paramount WBD merger was floated in an item last month by Semaphore. I don't know what Semaphore is. According to the report, Ellison's friends and advisors, quote unquote, were pushing the media executive to consider shifting his business out of the state. I bet those friends and advisors would probably stand to benefit if they do shift business out of the state. At the end of 2025, Paramount Skydance had about 17,600 workers worldwide. WBD had about 35,500. If the merger does cross the finish line, Ellison and his team are expected to slash thousands of jobs at the combined company, words Wes, to achieve cost savings and streamline operations. Ellison's father, we know who Ellison's father is. So there you go. I think this is a move to force the Attorney General's hand. I don't think the Attorney Generals are going to budge. If they haven't had any talks so far on what would need to happen to make the lawsuit go away, I don't see this resolving itself before October 1st. Now, I could be wrong, and I will definitely bring you the latest and greatest updates, but what do you think? Do you think that this move will actually happen? If it does, what do you think the odds are it ends up in Texas versus Tennessee versus Georgia? I see a lot of stuff at the end of movies that is like, thanks, Georgia, we filmed here. So maybe that's a hot ticket item. I feel like there's plenty of space in Texas, depending on where in Texas they go. And I don't know, Tennessee doesn't have any state income tax, so that's a boom. Or is it sales tax? I don't know. I know there's tax advantages to all of those places versus California. So there you go. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think he actually moves? Are they calling his bluff? We'll find out soon. And I will see you all in the next one.